everybody. And I apologize for the wind, but you know, Mother Nature has its own plans. But we have to do this live the best we can at all times. So first and foremost, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. My son is over on that part over there between the inside and the outside by the front of the driveway, so I am secluded to the backyard here a little bit, but that's okay. We're going to push that positivity here this evening, and even though the charts are looking a little red, and once again, that for XRP at least, that $2.29 area continues to be, you know, somewhat of a problem here. Not like it's the worst thing in the world, but we've definitely had a little bit of a problem trying to get over this area. But we'll discuss all this. 1970 legend, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. I really appreciate that. John Hall, welcome in, my friend. Good to see you in here as always. Hope you're having a good evening. Mike, welcome in. Thank you so much for tuning in. So we'll look at that rejection area that, at least for now, we haven't been able to get past. We see Bitcoin's corrected a little bit. Ethereum's come back down here a little bit. A lot of crypto has reversed pretty hard. Some of it, like IOTA's down 7%, and some other ones have reversed pretty hard as well. Frankie Fresh, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XP Meteor. But that's no reason to get down, no reason to have like this negative feeling or, you know, this emotional tirade or anything like that. The sky is not falling as of yet. We're just still consolidating within a pretty interesting area. And no matter how we look at it, it's a pretty interesting way that we're set up here. We've got a very important area that we just have not been able to break past so far. Hi, Tommy. That we have not been able to break past so far, and it's right about that $2.32 to right around 232. 229 is a major area. It's a pivot point. That's why I put it in the title. And just by consolidating for a day or so, this will end up coming down to 229. But in the moment, it got rejected right around 233. And now we're pulling back down. We're still looking fine as far as the Golden Cross is concerned. We're still looking fine as far as the 50 crossing the 200. And now we've had an occurrence where the 100-day moving average is powered past the 200. So if this maintains, this is going to be a very nice looking pattern. Yeah, you could argue that this is a dragon pattern trying to break out. Absolutely, you could. Absolutely, you could. Last time we had a pattern like this, it failed to break out. But we'll see, see if it ends up breaking out. The Cannabis Podcast, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XP Meteor. I encourage everybody to check out his channel on YouTube. Highly encourage it. Defined Group, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XP Meteor as well. John Bugathorpe, welcome in. Shane, good evening, my friend. Hope you're having a blessed evening, sir. Love seeing you all in here. Crazy Paul, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. Love it. You guys allow me to do what I do. Kyle Kupiak in the house. Cape Cod Kyle from Massachusetts, not Florida, as I about 10 times misproclamated. But it's good to see the I Told You So Bad showing up today. And we know we've got Jennifer and Joseph Kupiak, but no relation to Cape Cod Kyle. Michael, welcome in. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XP Meteor along with the Fine Group. Love it. John Hall, thank you for the $5 donation. Thank you so much for that. I know, Kyle, I'm so very surprised that it actually shows you as a member today. It's a rarity. We'll take that as a win today. Jorge, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor, and also being a very, very trusted mind, very key part of what I do to help maintain this in a positivity over negativity, a helpful, not hurtful nature. Remember, too, guys and gals, we are not victims here. When we play the victim, that's talk for we can't get things done. So we're winners here, and by being a winner, you have to have all the information from news, charting, and just a overall general dynamic of what it is in the, you know, the overall economic sphere. Not just that, but the fear and greed side of it with people. It's important when we talk about risk assets, especially because in an economic environment, when there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of, let's just say, you know, a lot of people are credit crunched and they don't have a lot of liquidity and so they're looking for safe assets, and they're going to start looking at the precious metals. You know, they're going to start looking at dividend paying, or at least like bonds even. A lot of people will look at bonds Even if the US dollar, I took advantage of the bonds when the US dollar was between 101 and 104. And then once it started dipping, once my bond cleared April 18th, I took it elsewhere. And I haven't exactly done anything with it yet, that money, because I'm looking at things and I'm trying to find the best fit. Like, I think silver is definitely one of those opportunities. But I'm trying to see where we shuffle here, because something tells me that markets look like they want to shuffle a little bit, and I want to see what that shuffle looks like. So, you know, I'm trying to see with the dollar and everything else hindering. The US dollar is barely over 99 again. It broke back over a little bit earlier. It's up 1/4% today. The 10-year, you ask yourself, who is buying the 10-year? It's got to be the government, because it was rising earlier, and now it's back down 3 basis points, or 0.81% to 4.17%. And we have an inverted yield curve. And what that means is the short-term yields pay out better than a 10-year. So you're putting out much more risk by having it for 10 years, and they're going to pay you 4.17%. That's where you can get a higher yield curve. You can get a higher yield with lower bonds, which that's an inflator. That's it's just not good. It's not good, you know. You don't want that. You don't want that. Let's see what else. Bitcoin down 770 points, coming down from 95, just below 95, 94.2 now. The Fine Group says, Tom, I hope you don't blow away. It's been so windy today. Absolutely it has been, my friend. It's been very windy in Michigan. Very, very windy. Anybody who's closer to the UP and up in that area in Michigan, please stay safe. We've got like a level, whatever they call it, warning for fires, but they basically, I don't want to get banned, so I can't say a lot, but they basically, anybody who knows HARP, just look deeper, do the research for yourself. Ice storms, knock down all the brush, extremely dry out with no rain, all humidity, and we're gonna go the routes of you know what. So that's yeah. So you guys take that for what it's worth. So stay safe, my brother and sisters that are north of me right now, because it's going to be brutal. And I guarantee you in the next probably week, because I've seen the same signs on the Hawaiian Islands and in California and some of these other states. So it's going to happen. But, you know, I'm not going to get into politics, but it's not universe made, it's man made. Anyhow, is the president near you? I know he's in Michigan. I don't know exactly where he's at this moment. Let's see. I'll let you. Let's see. We'll look together to see exactly where he's at, and I can tell you. President Trump in Michigan. So, Harrison Township. So, he's at the Selfridge Air Base. So, that's going down M59. So, that's closer to where I used to live in Macomb County. But that's literally right out by Lake St. Clair. So, that's about a drive from here, less than an hour, even with traffic. It's about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour from where I'm at. So, not that far at all, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's at the Selfridge Air Base, very famous place over there. You can't get on the base unless you're a military member, so he'll be behind safe quarters at least. But yeah, he'll be speaking live. I think is he speaking live already? I don't know. But I seen somebody said, what's my secret? And that's that I keep up with the news. I like somebody, Jorge, yes, read Jorge's comment very carefully. But what's my secret is it's not just the charts. I stay very up to date with the news, economics, especially when it comes to the economy, the yield rates, the yield curve, and also the federal funds rate. I also am very in tune with the US dollar, and also quantitative easing versus quantitative tightening, and are we going to have rate cuts versus rate increases? And right now, yes, risk doesn't look great, right? Just because And in the general sense, and let's not talk about the M2 money supply until after the general sense, right? So in the general sense, when you're in an environment like this, when the waste is being tightened, like you're spending and you're budgeting and things like that, you're not looking for risk. And that's why I think this is the perfect environment for them to bring risk every which way, up, down, left, right, smack us against the wall before we jump up, and then just squash us like a bug, and then pick us up like out of the frying pan, and kind of like the cartoons when they blow you back up after you get run over. You know, so that's one part of it. But Bitcoin, in a sense, if you look at the M2 money supply as well, it's trying to inch its way up and try to close the gap, but nowhere even close to what we need to do. Bitcoin's still in a very favorable spot until it breaks down below 93,136. Remember yesterday, though, I talked about that 87,691. We could raise it just a little bit, but I really believe Bitcoin's going to come back down there and test that gap. Like, I know Nick, if he's watching, or if he's going to be in here later, if he's in here, I don't know if I missed it. I know Nick knows that there's a gap looming at that 88,500 zone. So, like, to me, that's why I said yesterday, I know that there's some of these golden crosses. Some are actually doing the 100 through the 200 now. But to me, it just seems like Bitcoin, it's got to come down here. Why would it go all the way? Unless its intention is to go boom and then just put a head and shoulders, which I suppose could happen. But I think if we want to be advantageous here, we come back down. We kind of scare some people here. Trump's talking today, so he did something that makes, again, risk assets nervous. He's starting to back off on the tariffs for auto, and not back off completely, but kind of lessen them a little bit, because we're getting smoked in the auto industry. Let me tell you, if you live in Michigan, you see it firsthand how all these factories, literally auto factories, are closing everywhere. All around. Just all around. It's pretty interesting. But I do appreciate everybody tuning in. 88 people here. See, it gets hard with some people to join just because it's red. But it's red. You know, but it means a lot more to me to see the ones in here trying to keep that positivity. Like, I understand, believe me. I understand as good as anybody when you're trying to do this, and honestly, you know, it's red, and you're looking at it and you're like, you know, me too. Honestly, Frankie, for me, looking at it from out, and I'll go out and back in, it doesn't look as bad to me as it does to some. Let's just put it that way. But we also have the foresight, my friend. We have the foresight of understanding how to look and break down a chart, how to debrief that chart, or debunk it at least. But yeah, I would encourage everybody to hit that like button like Jan said. And thank you, Love, for being in here. You've been here for so very long. And such an inspirational part of what I do. But hitting that like button would definitely help. It pushes me through the analytics. And Jan, thank you for being in Towns Army for over 3 years with the XRPH Diamond Hands badge. I really believe it. Or really appreciate it. 3 different reasons. One, we've had a mass exodus. Not just when Trump created the tariffs, but the uncertainty of the tariffs. Because I live in Michigan and we rely a lot on exports from for car manufacturing and things like that, because we don't do a lot of stuff here. So even where we have factories and little shops and things like that that are pushing some of these other products, they've either had to lay off or fully close down because it's just, the pricing is so out of whack. I've seen some of this pricing and it is not good. It is not good. Like, that's a discrepancy. So now it's like, how much do you charge? How much are you charging your customers? How much are you charging? And some people took out contracts with China and they're having things imported or from these other nations, and it's already built into the budget. And this is going into the future, but now that they've had to put in the tariffs, you know, a lot of people act like there's no pain to the little guy. It's all, no, that's not true, because they're getting the stuff into here. So they've already got set pricing. So now they got to deliver. So, you know, some people have actually went the route of, you know what, we can't do this anymore. And we're just going to lay a bunch of people off. We're going to have it online. Like, a lot of people in Michigan, it's weird, and other places are starting to put their business online. I never thought I would see the day that would happen with some of these businesses. Trading with J-Ride, thank you so much for the $10 donation and being in Tom's Army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. My dear Lord, are you guys beautiful people. Look at Tanya in here for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon badge as well. It's unbelievable, and thank you, love, so much. So glad to see you back in here, Tanya. It gives you an extra emphasis. 1970 legend. Ironically, and it's funny because I know you just sent me a donation, and I've been wanting to show you my wall for that I finished completing, and 2 of them at your disposal. But remember, you won the national championship this year, so you know the ones that are at your disposal, it just led to a championship, so you should be grateful. Just like I'm grateful that Ohio State kicked the shit out of us for so many years because it led to 3 Big Ten championships in a row and a title. So it doesn't bother me as much as people think. I'm actually grateful for what happened. Otherwise, we would have never won. We were shit for so long, and we needed to get punched in the dick a few times. 15 to be exact. It took us 15 hits to the nuts before we figured it out. Wow, 40, I didn't know it was that big. Holy sh... Dude, seriously. That's crazy. In Tom's Army for over 6 months and sends a $49.99 donation. That's I don't even know what to say sometimes, guys. You know, like a lot of people are like, Tom, you this and that, and I always say I have the greatest freaking audience that anybody could ever imagine. Like, and I'm just sending this to my email. I know for some of you it's not going to matter, but some of you, you know, you might care what I do. You might care. I don't have an office or anything because I basically sacrifice for the family, and I basically have my little spot on the wall. Because I wanted everybody to have their own rooms and such, so I don't want any of the bedrooms. I like all the kids to have their own stuff and whatnot. But anyhow, I did this 1970 legend. So, not that one. This is my... Wait a minute. Where's it at? Did I not pick the right picture? Ah, here we go. You can't see the top. Oh, yeah, you can. But that's my wall. So if you start from the blue rain, it goes... That first Big Ten championship was the one that got it all started in back-to-back repeat. Then we won the Rose Bowl. So we got that turn in the corner. Then you got the, you know, finished. You won the championship, and then you got businesses finished there at the end, which is pretty nice. I do have my championship belt and things like that as well, but I thought that was pretty nice. And then I also have a little, you know, for the 1997 team, you know, got a couple things. But I thought it was really nice the way it got set up. Kryptonian, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year at the I Told You So badge. Looks kind of shitty. Just I would say the same thing if the wall was filled with Buckeyes. So I was, oh man. Well, here's the cool thing. You could listen. I'm having fun with the 4 in a row, right? The bottom line is you could put one on your wall that says 15th win in a row versus Michigan. Will Michigan ever win again? Is this, you know, so it's so funny when you talk about it. I'd have to go back to the 90s to have any kind of comparable streak like that. So you're talking 30 fucking years. Hey, we got 4, baby. They might have beat us 15 times in a row, but we got 4. But we got 3 Big Ten titles in a national championship. Bam! We gotta get back to crypto. I'm hemorrhaging enough. People all leave. So, but it's all fun and games. The Big Ten's running the show now, and that's all I ever really wanted. If it can't be Michigan, it's got to be Ohio State because that gives us the most hunger. Like, nobody ever believes me when I say that. But if Michigan's not going to win it, it has to be Ohio State. Because the only thing that makes us want it more and wanting it to begin with is seeing those scumbags down south. I'm not saying 1970 Legends a scumbag. That's a good guy there. But those are our friends of the South. But, you know, in our eyes. But anyhow. Tom worked for us. The man send for the man in the class. Hey, you said it better than I ever could, my friend. But anyhow, let's get off this. Good evening. 6:29 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. And I reside in the great state of Michigan. If I said I'll, it suggests that it's sometime in the future. But I've in the past, present, and future always lived in Michigan, and I wouldn't leave. Tom Uphold doing this says pump is incoming. Nah, there's one of two things you can look at that. Ready? either a pump was coming or the inevitable dump where you can't get out of a asset, right? The pump would come after. The dump would come when nobody can clear their assets because that's liquidity being held for people to sell out. So that's, I like to play the devil's advocate or contrarian viewpoint. Yes, hit that like button, please, everybody. So if you want good news, right, positivity, and I promised we would fill this chart in. So this is the new chart as of a couple days ago. So, and you know, 1970 legend, can I just say one thing that Ohio State could have done and gave us some grace? Could you have given us one fucking year of having the championship? One? That's the only thing I'll say. Couldn't you guys have gave us one? I mean, at least we beat you in Columbus, but it doesn't even matter. Everybody gets off on it. I don't even care about it now. Yeah, now, you know, 1970 legend, the interesting thing will be what the team Michigan has. I'm not saying it, but they really do have a chance to win a title this year. So, you know, you might not like what you're going to see on the field. We opened up the paybook after you guys, I mean, we opened it during the season because we needed a quarterback. Anyhow, so this is the all-time chart. Forget sports. This is the all-time chart. So, XRP is absolutely not cooked. In fact, folks, here, listen, guys, please, listen, before we start asking the questions, because this is why I went back to this chart. Ready? Think of the 5 wave, because it came in. If you do it, I believe if I do it in the weekly, it's a little bit easier to see how this pulls in, comes down, pulls up, comes around, back down, back around. Ready? This is beautiful. And you guys will be like, holy smokes, it's doing the same thing over and over and over. 2 billion USDT minted, XRP Bitcoin pairing. And we'll look at the XRP Bitcoin pairing for sure. That is good information. I'm going to double check that. Not that I don't trust you, but so people don't think I'm colluding. And thank you for the $5 donation, my man. Thank you so much. Wales, Josie Wales, and been in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. So I believe Wales, Josie Wales. So, ready? So we come in the weekly. So 1, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 is this big. So if you want to look at the 5 wave, right? This is the way I'll break it down to you. And this is in the weekly, so we're not looking at any of that minute bullshit. Excuse my French. We're not looking at the little 4 hourly and the daily and all this crap. We're actually looking at it from a weekly. We could look at it a monthly, but I kind of like it. It's more sexy in the weekly because you get to see more. You know, so let me get rid of some of this. So, because we're going to do this again. Because I believe in the short term, yeah, you can make your case for whatever you want. But if you actually take this out and understand what this means, like really what this means, okay, and like this, I have it up here because that's the range, but it's really in this mid-tier part of this parallel channel. So, but we'll talk about this as we go on. So, here we go. So we've got 1, 2, so wave 1 is up, wave 2 is corrective, wave 3, big, within this 5-wave Elliott wave move, but this is still this is going through a 5-wave move. Wave 4, I believe this is the corrective, all the way in here. Came down to corrective, consolidated, boom. Wave 5, right? And it just, but you could even say like it's a 5-wave within that 5th wave as well, because you have an impulse coming up, back down, 3, 4 big corrective, 5 back up, right? Then you could even say when you're doing it that you do the exact same thing through all of these. Now, forget all of that. I said that just to say forget all of that for a second. So let's go into the monthly, because you got to see how that plays out so that you have some kind of understanding. But you see these blue boxes? Very, very, very. So back in 2014 area all the way to like 2017, this was the supply zone. In my opinion, yeah, you had a couple burst up, but back down. But most of the supply zone was where this dotted line is. See this dotted line right around 3 cents? And then back down here to about 0.002. That was basically your supply. And then the supply became so great, or the demand became so great in the supply zone, we had no choice but to break out. And every time we broke out, before the move ended, we came all the way up into this area. And it was the resistance. The top, we ended up peaking up here. We hit it up in here a couple times, but watch this. Every time we came up into here, and this is why you should be so positive about what's going on right now. We came up into the, let's just say that's like, so you had supply here, which forces us up to here, and this is almost like the exit strategy. This is the major sell-off area, so this is where you get into the sell-off zone, right? And once you got up here, the demand waned, and then you tried to find supply, so we assumed maybe it could come in here, but it falls through the first time, right? Comes back to a real supply zone, and it makes the case that it's going from here into here as it supplies, and that could be considered, you know, this is a big wave for correction back up. So then we bounced out into 21. Well, the difference in 21 instead of 21 and 24 and 5, 635. It's getting close. Is that we couldn't get past this little distribution center. So this is like distribution, supply, distribution to push us up over the top. Well, we didn't have anything to distribute here, and even if we did, nobody wanted it. But what we had here was a massive amount of people that probably bought up here as it was coming down, and they said we got a 50% plus retracement. This should be the zone to bounce off of, and then it just fell through. Back to supply zone, but what we noticed here is the floor of the supply zone was down at about 26 cents this time, or 28, about 26 to 28, depending on the chart. Down here, though, it was down to about 15, right? Even a little bit lower, we got down to about 9 cents. So in this, at least after 21, we had a much higher floor. The floor in 21 was about 28 cents as compared to 9 cents. You know, you're talking about 2.5 times higher. So then once we got out of supply breakout, this to me became the kind of like the seller zone. This should have been a demand zone for more people that would demand more here, and they should stock supply, but they didn't. They seen it fit to fall through because it only came up here one time, and before it refueled in here. You can't see it in the monthly, but it would refuel for a few days and bam, or a couple weeks, and then it flew out. When it tried to refuel here, there was nothing, and it just became a complete sell-off. So I see this more as distribution for sellers. Like, we're distributing the ones who might have bought in, but we're really selling out so we can resupply down here. And I think a lot of people suspected that was going to happen. With what was happening, they went back to quantitative tightening. We knew it was a bad deal. It was just the way it was. This was an artificial rally that probably should have never happened thanks to the blah, blah, blah variant and all these free stimuluses. Came back to supply, but this time it's different. And this is where I want you to have your thinking caps on. This is where it's absolutely different. But a sock on your phone at too windy. I mean, I guess it's windy. I can't really do nothing about that. I apologize for the wind. But, you know, it's Michigan. We're outside. We're enjoying nature. Or I couldn't do this. You know, it's one of the two. But, so right now, we're at least over the top, right? We're over the top. Right now, the monthly, too, has saved itself. Like, this looked like a terrible candle. Right back down. But now we came back up into that once again. Like I said, I kind of call that like the distribution center. That's where all the buyers were distributing to the ones who didn't buy in FOMO, and then they waited. Well, this time when it got back to me, I thought this would be a demand zone to buy more. You would think the first, at least this time around, but it wasn't. So, and I didn't think that at the time. I actually thought we were crashing through when we were here because I called it and I played it properly. But that doesn't mean that looking at it all the way, you wouldn't think that looking at the chart. But this ended up being the W, right? The hook in the W. Came back down, elevated right side. Now we're trying to demand zone, and it actually elevated us through. We had people sitting there, oh, this is beautiful. We don't think we're going to come back all the way down here is what everybody's saying. By buying here and pushing it up artificially so far, first time it's ever happened. Every other time we came back in this zone, never worked. Never worked. Once you had to push out and came back in, it always failed. Push back up, never made it through. Push back up. This time, however, when it came through, it pushed out for the first time in its history. So now we're stuck between what I think is a likely demand zone and a likely distribution center. And now you got to get past that center. Once you get past that center, you're in discovery. And once you're in discovery, you go to levels that you've never seen before. And it's very advantageous that we came back up and touched the all-time high level and then came back through. That is so fucking perfect, and I'll explain it for one reason. Everybody who bought back in 2017 now had a chance to get out at $3.30 plus, within 5% of what they probably had. And they would gladly take that. Most people were made whole. 99 or 98% were probably made whole. And then you have the new buyers. But now, or sellers and buyers. Now, though, they sold out. And all these people were like, obviously, we're going to have some sell-off here. We had all these people sitting from 2017. You got no choice. We talked about it for years. Now it's sold off. But the beauty of this is we didn't fade past $1.61. This is huge. So now if we can somehow maintain this caveat here for the rest of the month, now is only 1 day and 2 hours, and stay above this zone, it'll be the first time we've ever had a monthly candle. Just hear me out. A true monthly candle close after revisiting this section in its history. It's never come back down here and had a monthly candle close over without having a several year bear market and trying again. So this could be rather significant. Like in a real way. In a real way here. So I think this is very important. Wales Josie Wales, thanks for the $4.99 donation and being in time zone for over 1 year. He says what did that say? Earthport gives Visa access to XRP liquidity. Holy shnikes, are we getting some big news? Big news. I commend everybody for being here as well. 119 people here. Wow. And I told everybody yesterday and today, unfortunately, like I feel like we're coming back down just a little bit. Not because I think we had, like, it's a killer. It's just we got caught here a little bit. You know, we got caught. So, I like to tie all these charts together in a real way. And we looked at it in the weekly in some senses, where the weekly was starting off hot, but now you're back testing every single one of these moves. And now the 100-day, right? The 100-day broke through. So, what do you think is going to happen here? If this is meant to be, what do you think XRP would do very quickly? Wouldn't it probably retest that area just like it did at the 20 crossing through, the 50 crossing through, and now the 100? It'll probably try to do it in some fashion. The only way this could be avoided, it's going to be tough because we came through the 4-hourly in such a decisive way. Unless the 4-hourly pulls back up in an hour and 18 minutes, it's a little dicey here for the immediate short term. I mean, immediate short term, nothing over the immediate short term. But again, you know, we talked about how it would be better for us to break out now. We talked about it would be better for Ethereum, but probably that it would probably end up overall coming through. We talked about it yesterday in the Telegram. I told everybody to watch it very carefully. And it did. It had a little bit of a rally from yesterday. It went up $100 and something. But now this is the question of all questions. Is that an inverted hammer? Now that it's come back down and retested the breakout, like if it is, that's a very bullish daily candle. And this is a nice inverse head and shoulder confirmation, and this could be good for alts. You know, we're trying to reconfirm these push-ups, but it's pretty interesting to see like how IOTA's down 7%. That's a rather big reversal to me. But it really just tells me we're probably just got to come back down here to 1880 and retest this likely. But we're only having crosses in the daily. 4-hourly. We had a full-blown reversal, but we couldn't go any farther so far. So, you know, we're caught between right now. It's nothing horrible. We're just caught between. Summit says, I have watched YouTubers today. I'm cocking head. They speak quadrillions. XRP price of the moon. Well, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Well, I'm not going to talk negatively, but what do you want me to say? Most people are here to make some easy money. I mean, that's what you get. That's why when you come across a channel, you got to be able to, delegate it whether or not it's real or bullshit. So, you know, if nobody's doing what I'm doing, there's a reason why. If I'm not doing what they're doing, there's a reason why. I'm not going to do the nonsense. I'm not here to waste my time nor everybody else's. Trading with J-Ride for the $10 donation will absolutely look at gold. 100%, my friend. We spent a lot of time doing that. I apologize, everybody. It took 35 minutes to get through that. And we'll look at DGB. Definitely look at DGB. I want to see what Trump said as well. Has anybody got any news on what Trump's been saying during the speaking? I want to see what's going on there. Oh. We'll go back to this in a minute. But I want to go through gold very quickly for J-Ride. So J-Ride at 3,317. And gold right now, if you ask me, and maybe nobody's asking me, but I mentioned this before, I don't think we ever came back down to the proper spot here if we have to. So I think we could be building a little bit of a bear flag, but you know, what do I know? It could actually power through, because a lot of times when Trump speaks, gold loves it lately. So we got to make sure whether or not this is a bear flag. I'll make it simple for everybody. If that's a bear flag, super simple. You'll come down to the 200. I mean, isn't the 200 a safe haven for us to retest when we have big breakouts, just to see if the pattern's so good? So remember the breakdown from 3,160 down to 2,957, tap the 200 back up. Now it could come back down here, but this time, instead of it being 29.75 or 29.50, now it's around 31.60. This is fantastic. Fantastic. That's all Trump said so far. Interesting. Very interesting. Silver, though, as soon as it gives me the real signal here, it's going to be a big move. But I still think there could be consolidation, because these made big bounces, but a lot of times when the V stops right here, it's come short. They could come back down a little bit. I'm not going to be surprised if these come down a little bit. I'm not. I'm really not. So, well, hold on. I'm going to go say hi to my son real quick. Where's he going? Come back? You come back here. Yeah, door's open back here too.
Want to say hi to everybody on Daddy's video?
I'll just go up here to it. Right here.
He's been fine with you.
Oh. So there's Tommy walking around. Hey, buddy. So. But yeah, that's just where we're at with silver and gold. But I do want to see what Trump's saying. But DGB as well, it's down 4.68%. Everything seems to have hit that rejection point. DGB has come back around. It fell outside of the support structure. So honestly, I mean, it might have to come down to 8.2. And I know I talked yesterday about the possible drops, but it's still got a setup here. It's just, we don't know if we have to reset on every single one of these patterns. That's the biggest thing here. We don't know if we need to reset. Now that it's come outside of these boundaries, it's possible that even a reset could be at 0082. So everybody's saying hi to Tommy. So it's very possible here. It is very possible. The money, yes, that's the one thing I wanted to see before we watch Trump. USDT. Somebody said Wales, Josie Wales talked about $2 billion being printed. The problem is typing it the right way to find. I think it just reset my stream. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but it just made the reset sound, so I don't even know if I'm live anymore. Hopefully I am. You never know. You never know. I think they're trying to kick me off, folks. I must have told too much truth today. It just did it for a second time. I hope it survives. I don't know if it's going to. Are we still here? That's the second time it did it. Huh? It beeps and then YouTube will kick it off. I need to see. All right, cool. Still rolling. Excellent. So let's watch a little bit of what Trump's saying. I mean, we need to know just for what we're doing.
Drill, baby.
Emancipation Hall.
Julie, he's at Selfridge.
End of this rally for federal
650. You can. I can see him for a sec. You want to get it set up?
In 100 days, we have delivered the most profound change in Washington in nearly 100 years. I read an editorial today that this is the most consequential presidency in history. How about that? And it wasn't even by a group that would normally be supporting us. It was a group of people that I think they tend to be on the liberal side, but they said it's the most important election. November 5th, it changed it all. You have to see when you hear some of these numbers, but that is the most consequential election that we've ever had in our country. And what a nice thing. I'm going to start again subscribing to that particular paper. Even if I don't read it much, I'm going to subscribe. But,
Papa Willie and George, thank you so much for coming in late, even if late. It means the
we're
world.
ushering out the long reign of special entering in the golden age of America. That's what. Right? Front row Joe. Look at you, front row Joes. I miss you guys. I miss the campaign. You haven't changed. You've lost a couple of pounds. Oh, he's probably getting to one of those jabbers. You've lost a couple of pounds. You look good. And I have Mr. Wall here. This guy. How many rallies have you gone to? Like hundreds, and we love him here. The Wall. One day I'm going to get that suit and I'm going to wear it on stage. We appreciate it, fellas. Great. Thank you. You know, we have a group of ladies. I don't know if they're here, but we have a group of women from North Carolina, a large group, like 50 of the most beautiful women, and they've been to 129 rallies. They're happily married, I think, too. They just keep going to rallies all the time. But they're great. North Carolina, where we won by big numbers. Nowhere has this transformation been more dramatic than our southern border. You have seen a change on your southern border that Sleepy Joe said couldn't happen. Sleepy Joe, the worst president in history, said it couldn't happen. The last administration engineered a massive border invasion, allowing gangs, cartels, and terrorists to infiltrate our communities and rape and murder our citizens, and that is being nice about it. That's actually being nice about it. They are the worst. But standing before you today, I can proudly report that this heinous betrayal is over and that we have achieved the most secure border in American history by far. In American history. For 2 months in a row, we have now set all-time records, and this is by the media, the fake news media, which most of it is fake. We've set all-time records for the lowest number of illegal border crossings ever recorded. Think of that, ever recorded. The number of illegal border crossers released into the United States is down, listen to this please, 99.999%. Think of that, 99.999.
Oh, yeah.
3 people got in. 3. And I got angry as hell at Tom Homan. How did you know? I called up Christy. Christy Nome's doing a great job, Tom Homan. I said, how did you allow 3 people? No, they allowed a few in for medical reasons. They honestly, they had a couple of, were very sick. The ones that got in were really very sick, and we had to take care of them, but it was a few people. But 3 people got in versus hundreds of thousands in the last administration. Hundreds. Kamala, she was a great candidate. She was fantastic. Joe Biden was down 35 points. The debate was not a good one for him. He said, if I didn't debate, I could have gone all the way.
Well, I guess I'm grateful. There was 140 people, and then I started playing Trump, and 52 of you left. I mean, 50. I'm not playing it to watch Trump. I want to see if he says anything, at least in the beginning, about what we need to hear. I mean, I don't need to hear nonsense, but I like to stay informed, because then you can kind of not get backhanded. Let's see.
He was down 35 points, and they decided to replace him. Nothing ever happens like what happens to me. It never happens to anybody else. I had to remember this. We were losing $5 billion a day on trade, and now we're making money. We're actually making money instead of, do you know what 5 billion? Think of it, Mike. How many pillows do you have to make to lose $5 billion? You could make them for 1,000 years. No, we were losing $5 billion a year. Now we've got it where we're making money, and the tariffs haven't even really kicked in. The 25% on cars have. But you know what that means? That means that you're going to make the cars. We don't need the cars from outside. When they say, oh, sir, we want to send you a lot of cars. I said, we really don't want your cars. We really don't want. We want to make our own cars. That includes Canada. That includes Mexico, who have taken a tremendous amount of our business. Canada's taken off a tremendous, like 10, 12%. Mexico is.
You better stop talking about this side, because he just talked about lowering he's got to come off with all this stuff. He's got to turn it around. Otherwise, risk assets are about to get hit like 10%. He's got to get off of this point.
32%. They took 32% of our car protection. We don't want them to have that. We want that. Why are we giving it to them? Why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year? Why are we subsidizing Mexico for $300 billion a year? There's no reason for it. I'm proud to be the president for the workers and not the outsourcers. The president who stands up for Main Street, not Wall Street. I like Wall Street. I like Wall Street. I have a gorgeous, beautiful building on Wall Street, 40 Wall Street. Anybody? You want a little space? I'll get you some space real quickly. Now I've got one of the most beautiful buildings in the world on Wall Street, but I still like Main Street because you're Main Street. I want Main Street over Wall Street. And we want to protect the middle class, not the political class. That's all. I haven't done this very long. We want to protect our people. This is the greatest, when you think about this, look, here we are, it's not even like election, it's after the election. And you have crowds like this, and to have them, we're going to do the commencement at University of Alabama. And they just called and they said, it's going to be the biggest crowd we've ever had we've never had a crowd like this. And I'm doing it at West Point, and they called and said the same thing. We love West Point, we love University of Alabama. We love Alabama. You know what I won Alabama by? Like almost 50 points. So when they called and they said, would you like to do the commencement? I said, okay, I'll do it. But they're going to have the biggest crowd they ever had by maybe 4 or 5 times.
It's like, and then as if it couldn't get any worse, the dollar looks like if it breaks out of this little inverse head and shoulders and retests that 101 drop, that just inevitably makes things a little bit cheaper because the dollar is going up, which means that could have an effect as well, as you could see cheaper prices in crypto just because the dollar value is up, which means things would cost less. So that's something to watch as well. If we had some kind of, because that almost looks like that looks like an inverse head and shoulders. Now, it's a matter of can it play up or not? That's the big question, and who the hell actually knows?
Thanks for all of the things that we've done into our policies. Trillions of dollars are now pouring into the United States because of common sense, just common sense. Apple, great company, was building everything in China. Now they just announced that they're spending $500 billion to invest in America, not in China. My friend Jensen from NVIDIA, they're spending, you know what NVIDIA is? They're spending $500 billion. TSMC, the biggest chip maker in the world by far from Taiwan, they're spending $200 billion in the United States. Amazon, $21 billion. Johnson & Johnson, $55 billion. The Mac, $20 billion. Merck, Stellantis, General Motors are putting in billions and billions of dollars, and many other companies. And as a result of our policies, for the first time in modern history, more Americans believe that our country is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. They have a poll, a crazy poll, probably a fake poll too, so I don't know, I don't care. But first time ever, I think ever, that they're saying the country is headed in the right direction. Has never happened before. I don't know why. But we've accomplished more in 3 months than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or even 8 years, and we're just getting started. Believe me, we're just getting started. We're pleased to be joined by some great people. A person that number one, I have so much confidence in him. The fake news is after him, really after him, but he's a tough cookie. They don't know how tough he is, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. Pete. Doing not too good, right? Our new administrator of the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, somebody that everybody knows, but this guy, you know, the show was a big success, but sometimes it hurts your image to have a television show. He's the top, I mean...
Relaxation, anybody?
I shouldn't even mention that anymore, because that used to be a good thing. Today it doesn't mean much. But he went to University of Pennsylvania Medical School, top student, top doctor, top everything. One of the smartest guys in medicine, also a big star, Dr. Mehmet Oz. Dr. Oz, thank you, doctor. Thank you. Today just came here, he was all sweaty and grimy. I said, what the hell happened? He ran into the building because he wanted to vote in Congress. And I asked to vote John James by a lot, right? And thank you for making it here. He had a vote. I said, John, do me a favor, stay and vote. We're voting essentially on the big, beautiful, that gorgeous, big, beautiful bill. I said, you know, I want you there badly, but you got to vote, please. So thank you very much, John. Good job. Michigan House Speaker Matt Hall. Matt, thank you. Michigan Senate Republican leader Eric Nesbitt. Thank you, Eric. Thank you very much. Michigan GOP Chair Jim Runstead. Thank you, Jim. Good job. Nice tie. Thank you, Jim. Great job. One of my favorite people. I mean, we just had such success. You know, we had so many votes stolen in 2020, and then this guy came in, and they didn't steal them from his state, North Carolina, I told you. But they didn't steal him. He had 601 lawyers, and they had lawyers at every voting booth. And I said, who is that guy that did so well? Because we won the state. Other states, you know, they inched us out, and, you know, at the end, they just inched us out, crooked as hell. But this guy didn't let that happen. His name is Michael Whatley, North Carolina, and now he's the head of the Republican Party, RNC, and he's great. And I must tell you, he worked with a great woman, my daughter-in-law, Laura, who was unbelievable, who's got a very successful television show. That was a tremendous combination. That was a very important combination. Also the great, and you see him on television, he's unbelievable. Hey, Stephen, come up here fast. The great Stephen Miller. Do we like Stephen? Where is Stephen? Come here, Stephen. I love this guy. I love this guy. There is nobody smarter or tougher than Stephen Miller. Stephen, say it. Who's enjoying
Oh, what do we got? About 3 minutes of this schmuck talk. I'm sorry, but we'll go back to it. I just want to, I got to take a break from that. It's almost been an hour. I get it. I plan on being on a little bit longer than an hour today. It's just the way it goes sometimes. It's, what can we say? It's like every time the market, just think about it. Every time the market's at a break point to the upside, somehow, some way, the propaganda comes out. Nothing but propaganda. And I hate that word and love that word at the same time. But I mean, look at it. ZBCN ended up reversing now 14% almost today. And it was looking pretty stellar, but now obviously it's going to have to retest this area. So it's not, I mean, it actually down, back up. I mean, it's kind of falling through a tiny bit. But it's not just that. Like Casper had come up and it had a substantial move up. But it's like every move up is always met with the same, you know, and this was obviously an overzealous move from a major fall down. 47% right there in like a day, 2 days. But it's probably going to have to come down 63% and retest the breakout. It's not very often you break out and don't retest it. But yeah, I mean, it is all planned in time for sure. I agree with that, Sir. It's all planned in time. I would like to see this breakout right now, Kanta, because it does front run a lot, sometimes reversals. But this just has this golden cross pushing through, 50 crossing the 200. But it's catching a little bit of resistance here because of what's going on overall. But you know, like SNX had the 50 cross the 200, had an artificial move up, came right through. It's not dead yet, but that 100 even started to try to cross up. The 50 crossed the 200. Now, I mean, we could make the argument maybe we're trying to double buy, but it just seems like something went horribly wrong here in some of these charts. And it could just be timing. Oh, shit, I thought you were talking XRP. Oh, no. That was not XRP. I don't want to make your heart stop. In comparison, excuse me, XRP's looking decent. It's just if we go back in the all-time chart, like I said yesterday, looks like it's coming down. Not because I want it to, obviously. It just felt like to me, and the reason I said that is because for the first time it's coming into here, it rounds out, came back in here. Now, wouldn't it be nice? And let's just say it comes all the way back down and retest this area. I think it would be nice to come back down to $1.92 and prove it could hold that, keep this pattern intact. And remember, we have the one of two ways that we wanted this to play out, the one of two very lucrative routes. Remember, haven't deleted it. It's just, it would be more advantageous for it not to come back into this channel this time is all, because of how high we went up. Doesn't mean we can't come back into it. Doesn't mean we won't come back into it. It just would have been nice to break out from where it was at. But I have said from the beginning that I'm worried that it's going to come into that lower channel and then try to bounce out if at all. It's just from coming as high as it has, you really want to break out now instead of breaking down. Like, I cannot stress it enough that you don't want to invalidate this golden cross that now sees the 100 cross the 200. So I think what's happening possibly is it's going to retest, like I said yesterday, that cross when the 100 crosses the 200, and right now it looks like $2.17 would be the sweet spot. But for anybody worried about XRP, don't worry. Not in the least right now. XRP's never been in this back into the lower supply zones. And in my opinion, this is like a should have been demand. It's failed the demand zone. This to me is distribution back. Whether we distribute to buyers or sellers, we don't know. We came up here, we distributed to sellers, and it came down. We came back up here again, distributed to sellers, came down. But at some point, that distribution is going to turn into more like a resupply zone because we're not going to be distributing anymore. We're distributing. And when I say that, distributing to other people, that doesn't mean that that's because, oh, it's over. It's just because there's not as much demand for buyers as sellers up there. There should be going forward the next time it comes in there. And I think we're building a very bullish handle potentially here. And it's the pattern that we've been waiting to fill out for years that's finally filling out. And it's like we drew this W when we were way down fucking here and said, what if it did come up here and then it consolidated down and makes that ultimate cup? Like, think about this. Up, coming through. What if it actually does make that ultimate fucking cup here? Or the handle? Like, do you know how high this would go? We do. And we're going to do it again. We already had these targets drawn out years ago, just assuming we could come through here. Just assuming we could do this, right? Just assuming that eventually this would play out. That's how you can assume. See this? This says 642 because of the chart, right? Or 643. What's the target on the other chart? Long term that we've had for how long? 669. That's how we came up with that target. We have the Hank Hill ass syndrome on the XRP market, or the XRP total market cap. And that was one that we drew a long time ago. And we just call it the Hank Hill ass, or the Hank Hill ass syndrome, whatever you want to call it, Hank Hill's ass. And this is when we drew it out years ago and said, what if this could happen? Like, and it's the way it's doing it. It's absolutely doing it the way would be the most bullish circumstance here. Like, if we can hold this. We drew that out so long ago, it makes your head want to explode that it actually did that. Like, that was so much money made that I'm not even sure how to emulate it at this point until we go to the next stage. But you see what's happening here, right? Now let's go back to Trump. I think I laid it out. Now we can skip this douchebag.
100 golden days of America.
Goodbye.
Good for him, actually. I really do. I established the new Presidential Commission to Make America Healthy Again, chaired by our new Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's doing a good job, Dr. Oz, right? He's doing a good job.
Oh yeah, ask Dr. Oz, the biggest.
And he's a little bit different. But I want to
Okay,
tell you,
so
he's a great guy. He's a great guy, and he loves his country.
CFTC.
Just last week, Bobby announced that we're banning 8 major artificial dyes from our food supply. Sounds good to me. And on day one, I created that right now, very successful Department of Government Efficiency headed by Elon. That was a big thing doing that. I mean, the numbers are really incredible. Doge. So it was a very big thing. We terminated the left-wing money laundering scam known as USAID. How about the money that was going out? How about the money that was going out? Billions and billions. They were giving individual people billions of dollars. Can you believe it? People that had nothing, they got $1 billion. One got $2 billion. $2 billion for the environment. Had $100 in the bank. You got $2 billion. Not 2 million. You know, 2 million would have been a lot. 200,000 would have been a lot, but it would have been fine. $2 billion. And we directed all federal workers to return to the office in person, or unfortunately, they're fired. You're fired. You know, some of these guys got their golf handicap way down during the so-called time where they're supposed to be working at home. You know, they weren't working at home. Who the hell would work at home? How do you work at home? They're terrible. And we found a lot of them where they had second jobs. So we're just taking us for a ride. They're all taking us for a ride. The foreign countries were really taking us for a ride, both on military and on trade. But we stopped it, and we're stopping it. I withdrew from the unfair and ridiculous Paris Climate Accord, where we were paying trillions of dollars. We would have spent numbers like you wouldn't believe, and China wouldn't have spent anything, Russia wouldn't have spent anything, India wouldn't have spent, but we would have spent over $1 trillion. I withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization, where we were paying $470 million, and China was paying with a population quite a bit larger than ours, thank you. The problem with us, we have no idea what size our population. They allowed so many people on under Biden. But let's assume it's 325 million. China's 1.4 billion. We were paying $470 million, and China was paying $39 million. And China was running the whole show. So I said, no, thank you. I withdrew. They offered me to sign up at 39 million. I still said no because it was sort of scammy. I didn't like it. And Biden came back in and he signed up. And they knew we could have signed up for 39 million or less.
No, not.
He came back in and he signed up for the same as what they were paying before, almost $500 million. Now, that's a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to the trillions of dollars that they waste. But that's the way it is. They know they can sign up for less. They don't even care. It's like they don't want to have the conversation. And you're talking about a $450 million difference. But they came up right in the first week. He said, no, we're going right back in. Okay, I can understand that. But you go in for 39 million. They could make a deal for 39 million. They signed up for $472 million. And I withdrew from the anti-American UN Human Rights Council, which is totally disgusting. In 3 months, my administration has brought home 46 American hostages and citizens detained abroad. We paid nothing. We don't pay. We don't pay. You know, if you pay, those kidnappings go way up. We don't pay. Every time Biden brought people back, he'd pay $6 billion. $6 billion. $6 billion.
Okay.
3 times they brought
Thank
back
you.
3 hostages. Oh, how is it? Well, I think it's a fair deal. What do we pay? $6 billion.
Yes.
For 3 people. $6 billion. $6 billion. It's not right. I mean, it's just not right. They have no idea. Honestly, grossly incompetent, stupid people. More than Biden brought home in 4 years. We brought more back in just a matter of weeks than Biden brought home in years. And he paid a fortune. We paid nothing. We got Mexico to turn over 29 of the biggest cartel leaders in their country. And we're charging Mexico and Canada and China big tariffs because of the fact that they've allowed fentanyl to come in and poison our country. They're paying a lot of money for that. And because of that, you'll watch, it's going to stop. It's already slowing down. Within 6 weeks, we also apprehended the terrorists responsible for the attack that killed 13 American service members, known as Abbygate. I got to know them. I got to know those families very well. They're devastated during the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan and brought him home. I mean, we brought this guy home to America. We got the guy that did it. We got him. They were looking for years, but we got him. It took us to get him. We got him in the first month. Brought him home to face justice. And it was that gross incompetence that probably led Putin to go in and attack Ukraine, because they were never going to. That was never going to happen. If I were president, the Ukraine-Russia war would have never, ever happened, not even a little chance. We've ended the weaponization of law enforcement and fired Joe Biden's handpicked. These are pro-crime U.S. attorneys, except if it's a political person like me. You know, I was under investigation more than the late, great Alphonse Capone. Al Capone was the greatest gangster of them all. If he had dinner with you, and if he didn't like you, you were dead. You were dead.
Do you guys just get what I just showed you, or no? So, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission is overseen by the CEA, right? The CEA is the Council of Economic Advisors. The chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors is in Donald Trump's second administration. Think about it. If there was ever a time, and I'm getting to one key point, if there was ever a time to revalue gold under the President's Act of revalue gold under what act? Gold Reserve Act of 1934. So I'm not bullshitting everybody when I try to talk about it. So think about it. Just think about the possibility here. Just the possibility that we go back to monetary value, but have the dollar run off because they're not going to get rid of the dollar. I see a very sinister thing happening here, and I like to read the breadcrumbs, and oh baby, do I feel a video coming on that is going to be something different, because I'm telling you, if I didn't, it's so hard because some people would never believe it, but there was a past life where, this life, but in a past sense, where I may have been visited, and my old Vincenzo may have been visited, and we may, you know, you can say don't talk about certain things so openly, and let's just say this stuff, there's something deeper going on here. I think something deeper is going on here, and I I think something deeper is going on here. I really do. And Trump actually said, and we'll get back to what Trump's saying, and it's so fucking boring. But we'll get back to the dick rubbing and all that stuff. I would like to hear the real stuff. You know, I don't care what this guy and that guy and everybody else. I want to know what the hell is going on. You know, for real, but we'll never find out. But at least Trump makes it entertaining. Let's see. So he just said this, and he actually tweeted about it too. It's funny, I can't see comments, so that's probably a good thing. Oh, wait a minute. You know who I could show? Mike Maloney, because he actually shared this too.
Bringing back the gold standard would be very hard to do, but boy, would it be wonderful. We'd have a standard on which to base our money.
This is what Donald Trump is pushing for. He's pushing, I think we're going to have that Mar-a-Lago Accord where they settle all of these tariffs that Trump is imposing. We're going to negotiate with all of the countries, but at the same time, we're going to have a new world monetary system and probably $10,000 gold. It's going to be a lot of pain for a short period of time, but then things are going to work out just peachy. We've got the gold. We can cause the entire world to go back on a gold standard, and it will benefit us. In my last video, I presented a body of evidence that suggested that we are going to have a new world monetary system very shortly, and it's probably going to be based on gold. In this video, I'm going to add to that body of evidence. There's a lot here to take in, so hang on. So with the last video,
okay,
I've had this clip in it of Scott Bessent.
So just think about this, right? The CA establishes the statutory framework under which the CFTC operates under the Act. The CFTC has this. They've got basically to do any regulation for the CFTC. So then, just so you understand, so if you take it just a step further, that's the Council of Economic Advisors is who does this to the CFTC. Then you take it a step further, and the Honorable Stephen Mirren is the chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, and he is on Donald Trump's second administration. So it's like, if there was ever a time to do something crazy
And then he goes on to say,
and have crypto be the back burner, not because it's not going to be valuable, but have people with the false illusion that crypto is going to be the new currency, and then it ends up being they just remonetize gold. There's also been a correlation to how much gold the U.S. has been bringing in. Man, I've wanted to talk about this for a minute, and Trump was just boring me, so I just wanted to show you in a fast way. Does any of this make sense, or do I really sound like an asshole to everybody? Because in my own personal life, whenever I bring this stuff up, everybody looks at me like I'm some asshole and I need to get sent to the insane asylum. So I never quite can tell. You know, you can never quite tell. I need to get sent to the insane asylum. So I never quite can tell. You know, you can never quite tell. I need to get sent to the insane asylum. So I never quite can tell. So, anyhow. So when you look at it, I swear I'm going to do a video that is going to tie this. I'm telling you, I'm going to do a video that is going to run this conspiracy, and I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel in the next couple of days. I'm serious.
world monetary system very shortly, and it's probably going to be based. We're going to have.
Come on, let's get back to where we were at.
That Trump is imposing. We're going to negotiate with all of the countries, but at this.
Bringing back the gold standard would be very hard to do, but boy, would it be wonderful. We'd have a standard on which to base our money.
This is what Donald Trump is pushing for.
Absolutely, it could, Syrian, 100%.
That Mar-a-Lago Accord, where they settle all of these tariffs that Trump is imposing. We're going to negotiate with all of the countries, but at the same time, we're going to have a new world monetary system and probably $10,000 gold. It's going to be a lot of pain for a short period of time, but then things are going to work out just peachy. We've got the gold. We can cause the the entire world to go back on a gold standard, and it will benefit us. In my last video, I presented a body of evidence that suggested that we are going to have a new world monetary system very shortly, and it's probably going to be based on gold. In this video, I'm going to add to that body of evidence. There's a lot here to take in, so hang on. So with the last video, I've had this clip in it of Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary of the Treasury of the United States, saying that the world has to have a new economic reordering within the next 4 years, and that he wants to be a part of it, something like a Bretton Woods agreement. Now, that economic reordering means a new global monetary system. That's what he's talking about. And then I pasted it to this clip where, in a Tucker Carlson interview, he says that gold can't have a fiscal problem. Gold can't have a budget deficit. Gold can't have a war. And then he goes on to say what a gold bug he is. Well, now I'm going to add to all of this evidence. So let's take a look at this.
Gold is not a fiat currency. There's a limited amount. It is recognized as a store of value. And you are seeing that you can keep gold in your vault.
So gold is not a fiat currency. It's a store of value. You can keep it in your vault. At least he understands the difference between money and currency. Now, he goes on later in this video to suggest that other countries might have their currency.
Yes, amused. Yes, you get it. It's not even the trading. It's just going to be that's, how we always get told about these events that happen so quickly and things. I think it's starting. That's what I'm saying. In gold, I really think it's actually starting in a sense, because you got to follow the breadcrumbs. The fact that it's so fucking weird. It's so weird that would be who's on the chairman of the C. You couldn't make this up if you tried. Like, you really could. Like, some things just, you see it and you're like, oh my God. Like, we must be dreaming. Like, this could actually happen.
It's convertible to gold as well.
Who knows whether China's moving on to war footing vis-a-vis Taiwan? The Chinese PBOC is the largest buyer of gold now. So, could we imagine, again, back to imagination, could we imagine some kind of a RMB that is exchangeable into gold, maybe at a premium?
So I don't disagree with any of that, which is probably why I find myself constantly sort of rolling my eyes when people mention Bitcoin.
Gold can be a risk off and a risk on asset. Bitcoin is a risk on asset.
Okay, so
which means gold can be bought and stored in a risk on environment and risk off. It's so fucking important. Everybody always gets it confused. Oh, it's a risk on, which means it's not, or it's a risk off, which means it's not. It's actually both. It's actually both.
Secretary of the Treasury of the United States of America is pretty much confirming here that the world is not going to go on to a Bitcoin-based monetary system. It really does what he's talking about.
That's the point of that clip. So that's what I mean. There's diversion everywhere we look. So that's the diversion right now. So what are they diverting you from? I think they're diverting us from the fact that they're putting pieces in place already at a presidential, at the judicial, and at the not just the CFTC, the CA. It doesn't seem right. You couldn't make I couldn't make this up. If I came to you guys, and if you were into this as much as I am, or if you understand it at the level I do, and I came to you and said this, you'd say, oh, you're full of shit. There's no way that the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, the board that regulates and puts the regulations and oversights into place, their chairman is on President Trump's staff. The Council of Economic Advisors, that the chairman of the CEA is on Trump's staff. Like, you couldn't. That's why I did it in silence, because I was trying to sneak into this segment 2 days in a row and I couldn't figure out how to do it the last two lives.
the Chinese RMB, the renminbi, the yuan, being convertible into gold. And so that would mean a global gold standard. Now you need to listen to some of what Donald Trump said in his last term. This clip is more than 9 years old, but it's his opinion on gold and the gold standard.
And then I'm going to go check my son on it. No, we'll go back to the Trump talk after this, but I want you to at least hear this. This is what he said what was it he said 9 years ago.
Bringing back the gold standard would be very hard to do, but boy, would it be wonderful. We have a standard on which to base our money.
So the president actually doesn't understand the difference between money and currency, but he thinks the gold standard is a very good idea, and it gives us something to base our currency on. So the US dollar. I wish they would just drop the dollar completely. All countries should just be dealing in things to be priced in gold grams.
Can't do it. They won't do it though.
And you know, bimetallic, you can use silver ounces, and not, well, I wouldn't do ounces. Should be grams of silver and kilograms and so on. And here's yet another video where he gives his position on the gold standard, whether he likes it or not.
Can you envision a scenario if this country ever goes back to the gold standard?
Well, in some ways, I like the gold standard. There's something very nice about the gold standard, and you have to go back at the right time, like when gold does the old crash show. But there's something very nice about having something solid. You know, we used to have a very, very solid country because it was based on a gold standard. We don't have that anymore. There is something very nice about the concept of that. It would be very, very hard to do at this point, and one of the problems is we don't have the gold. Other places have the gold.
So this is where he got the audit Fort Knox thing from. Let's go to Fort Knox and see if the gold is really there. Now, you know, that rhetoric started in mid-February, and then it's gone silent.
Now, you guys have heard me talk about how much gold the USA has got lately compared to everybody else. Mike Maloney will break it down. I'm so glad he did this video today. I think it was today. And it literally validates what I was trying to tell everybody. Like, I don't have the credibility Mike Maloney has. And if you watch goldsilver.com, when he's on, he's awesome. When Alan Hibbard's on, I skip the shit because he's a moron.
2 months. And during these months, what's happening...
He's a Bitcoin patsy.
...is they're both refilling Fort Knox, and the commodities exchange is getting ready for something. And I will show you that evidence in a few moments. Bridgewater Capital. Bridgewater, the largest hedge fund in the world, in their extremely influential newsletter. And they say, we have been through many big economic shifts over Bridgewater's 50-year history. So we don't speak lightly when we say that this looks like a once-in-a-generation one. It's a once-in-a-generation economic shift. And then they go on to say that we see exceptional risk to U.S. assets. Why do they say that? Well, let's hear from Bridgewater's founder, Ray Dalio.
We have something that's much more profound. We have a breaking down of the monetary order. We are going to change the monetary order because we cannot spend the amounts of money, so we have that problem.
So Ray Dalio, the founder of the world's largest hedge fund, is now saying what I've been saying since 2009, that we are, I've been predicting this, and I wrote about it extensively. And we are headed toward a new monetary system. Breaking news, U.S. bond giant PIMCO. So this is a fund that sells bonds, right? They invest in bonds. Warns that the U.S. dollar's reserve currency status is not guaranteed. The world is starting to become awake. Another article that Besant calls for reforms among Bretton Woods institutions to rein in global trade imbalances. This was in my last video. I had actually cut off the bottom here, but on the financial side, the reserve function of the dollar has caused persistent currency distortions and contributed, along with other countries' unfair barriers to trade, to unsustainable trade deficits. These trade deficits have decimated our manufacturing sector and many working-class families and their communities. To facilitate non-Americans trading with each other. Now to understand, I clipped that off of the last video because I actually didn't want to have to go into explaining this, the Triffin dilemma. So I would suggest going to Investopedia and reading about the Triffin dilemma. It's also called the Triffin paradox. But basically, the rest of the world, in order for it to function, if there's a reserve currency system, the reserve currency country has to export their currency, and they do that by buying more goods than they sell. But that collapses our manufacturing sector and causes inflation in our country. So we're caught between this rock and a hard place where we're trying to do both things at once, and it's not possible.
No, I got to get to where you said this, Mike.
We drop to the, causes inflation in our country. So we're caught between this rock and a hard place.
Okay, so we're there. I thought we were there.
At once, and it's not possible to do both things at once. So I would definitely recommend reading this. Now
listen to the difference in gold that's been bought now here recently. Doesn't this suggest something big is about to happen? The fact that this happened, watch this shift.
I showed this graph that has, this is the amount of ounces that the United States owns versus all of the other countries. And you can see that, yes, we've got the most. But what I didn't point out in my last video, notice here that China is number 7. But when you adjust this as ounces per person, actually we drop to we'll be the 12th richest country. China is not even in the top 20. So that was a big mistake that I made where I didn't mention that. I showed a bunch of these graphs on gold flows around the.
This is what I want you to pay attention
Nick
to.
Laird of Gold Charts R Us put together. And this is March of 24, and this is what most of them look like. A huge bar for China, and something between half a ton up to about almost 9 tons, or about 9 tons, is what the United States experienced.
When it comes to gold, the only thing I would say is silver is definitely the better buy right now if you're looking for gold over time. Because I'm not looking to sell my precious metals. That's just something I've explained it many times. But, and the ratio being 100 plus, I would not encourage you to buy gold. I would encourage you to buy silver. But it's not something I say lightly. But this isn't FOMO right now. There's no for gold. Nobody's buying it yet. That's the thing. Like in the USA and like the retail, no retail's buying gold. It's all countries. They're the institution. Just listen to these numbers. Like it's not retail. I would be buying silver personally, if I'm being honest. Because guess what you can do with your, guess what? Defined. By owning that silver, just put it this way. You're buying this now so that you can hold your gold 50% cheaper later. And I'll explain. Because you're going to trade some of that silver when the ratio, you have to have at least 100 ounces right now, right? Or 80 or whatever. But you're going to take that and you're going to end up when it's 50 to 1, 30 to 1, whatever the ratio you want it to be. You're going to take 50 ounces of silver, 30 ounces, and get an ounce of gold. And you're already going to have the silver from when you bought it cheap. So. But listen, this will tell you. You don't have to amuse. You don't even have to question it, my friend. Watch the information you're going to get right here.
This is month after month after month after month for years on end. And then you take a look up to about almost 9 tons, or about 9 tons. Is what the United States experiences month after month after month after month for years on end. And then you take a look, that's March of 24, here's March of 25. China, India.
Oh, did I go?
Sometimes India will have a big...
Here, I need to go back just a little farther. Because I think he talks about China first.
Mistake that I made where I didn't mention that. I showed a bunch of these graphs on
perfect
gold flows
defined.
around the world that Nick Laird of Gold Charts R Us put together. And this is March of 24, and this is what most of them look like. A huge bar for China, and something between half a ton up to about almost 9 tons, or about 9 tons, is what the United States experiences month after month after month after month for years on end. And then you take a look, that's March of 24, here's March of 25. China, India, sometimes India will have a big bar. China always has a big bar. But the US is always like way down here. So March, these numbers were not in when I made my last video. They're in now. Another 104 tons, which is huge. So reviewing this, 64.5 tons in December. January, almost 200 tons, 193.4. February, and look at this, China, 0. February, 146.8 tons. How do they manage this where they get the Swiss refineries to not sell anything to anybody else in the world and give it all to the United States? Here China got 10 tons.
That's what I'm saying, guys. Isn't that crazy? This is unbelievable. Like, something big is coming, I'm telling you. Like, we're going to live through something big with the economic system, and I think we're going to be on the right side of history of this one, folks. And it's not crypto for the new crypto's got its own point of view. That's its own thing. They're trying to keep you from the real thing, but you need to have crypto too, but not for the same reasons. It's so different. Oh my God, it's so clear as day.
But we got 104. Now, another thing that is happening.
Thank you, God, for giving me foresight.
I just wanted to take a moment and thank you for subscribing.
Congratulations, Mike. We've got information and business to get to, mister. There we go.
And giving them time to end all of the gold leases and get the gold back and restock America's gold at the same is fast, and we have an insiders program where you find out exactly what I'm doing with my own investments. Thanks for making goldsilver.com your dealer, and now back to the video. Another thing that is happening, besides stopping the rhetoric on auditing Fort Knox and giving them time to end all of the gold leases and get the gold back and restock America's gold.
Not yet, Nick. I have
not.
The
commodities exchange is getting ready for something really big. I don't know what has scared them, but something really has scared them. And if you take a look at this, this is the eligible ounces. This is registered ounces. Eligible are any bars in these vaults, the COMEX vaults, that can be used for delivery into a contract. But eligible bars are not for sale, at least at these prices.
Defined. You don't need to have it change hands anymore. Now, you can basically trade gold in the exact same fashion from vaults, though, from actual physical vaults, where they've got chunks that you own that are for your trading like they've turned it digital, and it's not talked about a lot, but it goes on the same type of tokenomics as we would find in crypto, and it's pretty instantaneous. So it's a lot different than people think. And if you own the physical bars, I believe in the next several years are going to have such a leg up, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. No, you never get a discount. The only thing you'll sometimes get a discount on with 10 ounces is the price over spot. You never get a discount. You could I bought 100-ounce bars. You know, you're not getting a discount. I have a 100-ounce bar of silver. There's no discount on the actual ounce price. In fact, you're paying over per ounce the spot. So that's absolutely at 100% freaking. That's an unbelievably good question, because you would think you would get a deal because you're buying more, but as I found out years ago, there is no deals when it comes to metals because it's real money. It's real, yeah, no, you're always going to pay more because let's say you're always paying more for it. What do you mean? If you buy a 10-ounce bar, in theory, you should be, all right, so if you buy one, ounce of silver, let's say it's $32. You shouldn't... Yeah, watch. If it looks anything different than this, they're fucking you. So a 1 ounce silver round is right now, let's see the cheapest fucking one. I don't care about all these fancy. $36.13. Ooh, it's a nice one too. You're lucky to get any kind of eagle on there for that. So $36.13. So you know it's $36.13 for 1 ounce, right? So now let's just go to a, I don't think they have 10 ounce silver rounds. Sometimes they are, depending on what kind, they're more expensive. But you're buying a 10 ounce bar, I'm assuming. So let's go back because I have silver rounds. Now we need to get, well, yeah, it's always harder. Well, I mean, it's not going to be harder to trade with somebody with money who wants to buy larger amounts of silver. Like if you go to a pawn shop, you're not going to have any problem selling a 10 ounce bar if they're legit. Or if you go somewhere that actually wants them. But you always, it's, you know, more people can afford smaller amounts. So now, Scottsdale Mint is awesome. I love Scottsdale Mint. Yeah, if you go to my silver stacking videos, that's who I promoted with Scottsdale Mint because I would buy it live with the crypto. See the 10 ounce bar? $362 for the 10 ounce bar, but you have to pay, you know, with your checking, you know, so it's different pricing, but $362 is the cheapest, but really, you know, you're only going to be buying one of them, so you're going to get $372 is what it's going to cost you for 10 ounces. So, or no, $370. And then if you go back to the actual ounce, you know, and you buy 10 ounces, it should look pretty similar. Like, it's not going to be all that different. So I always look to see which one's cheaper, because it does fluctuate, because it's whatever the over the spot is. So now if we go back to the silver rounds, and now we just want to buy 10 of them. So quantity, let's go to here. We'll just look at their scale. So it's going to cost you for 10 of them, add that to the cart. That's $371.30 for that. And then if you buy a 10 ounce bar, we'll just add it to the cart so it's easier to see. I guess I should have did this before. Ah, shit. Because I would do it as a 10 ounce round, but they don't have 10 ounce rounds. Well, they do, but not very often. Where was the cheapest one? Varied condition, any mint. I mean, that would be up to you if you want to do new, but I'm going by new. But you can get it a little bit cheaper. So you want to buy one of these bars. That's what you're looking at. So $377.30 for the 10 ounce bars. It's a tiny bit cheaper right now for 10 1 ounce silver rounds, to put it in perspective, by like $7. But you're paying, you've seen it, you're paying about $37.73 an ounce. But look at the price of silver. The premium's outrageous right now. It's almost $5 premium right now. I was getting pissed at $2 and $3. You know, that's the other untold thing about when the pricing starts to go up. You know? So. But yeah, if you guys go back to my silver stacking videos, I show very in-depth how to use Scottsdale Mint with your crypto. So, and that was back in like 2023, I want to say those videos were recorded. Maybe some in 24. But I need to finish this. I got to go inside. The time's run for me. I'm going to go over the Trump stuff. And then if there's anything I can find, we'll go over it together.
Some of them will become for sale. The yellow area, registered ounces, these are registered and available for delivery. These are just being stored. And so
no,
the
it was definitely
analysis here
23,
is,
2023.
how much of these paper contracts exist compared to how much gold is in the vault. But remember, here Nick Laird is showing us the total gold in the vault, including the eligible.
Thanks, Nick.
Now,
So are you, my friend.
Probably only half of that eligible will ever be sold. So there is still a discrepancy here. But
you're already done? Oh, all right, guys, I got to go. My son's going to be going to sleep. Thank you all for spending the time with me. Have a blessed evening. This was like the longest